Okay, so thank you all for jumping on our team call. Tonight we have the amazing Lisa Davis with us, which I'm so pumped to hear from her and to learn from her. It's so funny. I wanted to share this story because I don't think I've ever told anybody this or shared this, but so the night that I was thinking about signing up, like I had found out about the opportunity. I was talking to Claire's upline, which Lisa is her upline. So Taylor couldn't get on the call that night. So she pulled Lisa in. And so we get on the call, Danielle and I and Lisa and Claire. And before we get on the call, Claire's like, okay, Lisa is like gangster. Like she is like, she's such a gangster. And I'm thinking, in my head, I'm thinking, gangster, like what does that exactly entail? And so I'm not really picturing Lisa to be Lisa because I don't know what to picture her as. And so it's just so funny because then she gets on and she's like, Claire's like, guys, I told you she was gangster. So Lisa is the definition of gangster. And apparently that means, because she's just amazing, she's just super successful with this business. She's she has hit legend, which is the top of the company. And am I correct, Lisa, that you've earned your influencer cuff for legend?
So I've heard the last 3 months we were a legend team, 3 months in a row. So I've earned our legend cuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's what I thought. So that just happened at the end of May, which is just incredible. It's the top of the company. And then I don't know all of Lisa's accolades, but I'm sure there's a long list, but we're just so pumped that you're here to learn from you and for you to share all of your best practices. So thank you for being here.
Tabitha, thank you so much. I am so honored to be here. You all are just an incredible, fast rising rock star team. And I am just sitting back in awe and watching you ladies do your thing. It's really incredible. So I have just I'm so thrilled that, Tabitha saw the opportunity and jumped in feet first. And I'm so grateful that she shared with all of you, because she's really given you all such a gift. And I'm also honored that she asked me to hop on with you all tonight and just to share a little bit. And what I really want to do is I do want to coach a little bit, but then I really, really want to do Q&A, because I feel like that's where the magic happens, right? Like that's where you can really dig down, you can ask the hard questions. And we can really I feel like my best brainstorming also comes from that. So Tabitha shared with me that you guys have this incredible momentum right now. And coming into June, we're heading towards the middle of June. I would love for this incredible team to keep and grow its amazing momentum. So I really want to talk to you guys tonight about several different things. And the first thing I want to share about is how to be your own best upline. Okay. So full disclosure, I was in a previous direct sales company before I came to Crunchy. And in that company, I really had to be my own best upline. Okay. And we are fortunate and blessed. All of us are fortunate and blessed because we all have amazing uplines to turn to. And whether it's directly above or 2 or 3 or 4 levels above, you have a plethora of really incredible powerhouse women that you can turn to and ask for help and questions and advice and bounce ideas off of. And in my previous company, I didn't have that. I had to be my own best upline. And it wasn't good in the sense that I didn't have a good upline or a strong upline, but it was good because I learned how to be my own best upline. And what that looks like is learning how to ask for help. You don't always have to go up to ask for help. You can go to the side, you can go down, you can cross team, you can build connections with other legs, other teams, even within the whole company, not just within, Tabitha's team, not just within Pretty Limitless or within Claire's team. So that's the beautiful part of it, is that you can start to make those connections within the company, within your team, that really help you strengthen and solidify, your own skills in this company and as a leader. So being your own best upline, it's making those connections, it's reaching out and asking for help, recognizing when you need help and saying, you know what, I think I want to be able to do this better. I want to learn how to up-level this particular skill, or, help me with language, or, help me with these, help me with 3-way messaging, help me just get a grasp on what that looks like, or help me how to, book events, whatever it is. So that really is just the most critical thing. And I think also, so how to be your own best upline is to be in good communication, right? So in addition to really, really reaching out and making those awesome connections, and Tabitha does a fantastic job of bringing this team together and encouraging you guys to communicate with each other, but really just being in great communication with your upline, downline, and sideline, and with corporate, and that really looks like getting plugged in and like not skipping trainings, watching replays as soon as possible, making sure that you're communicating to your downline, what's happening. And being your own best upline is also like how you present yourself, right? How you present yourself to your clients, how you present yourself to, to the public. Like, we, like it or not, we kind of have like public facing jobs, right? Like, part of our job is to reach out. And we really want to present and by presenting your best self, I don't mean presenting a false front. I mean, present who you really are, but do it in a way that's like respectful of others, like you don't want to be making everyone mad. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, be you, be yourself, but be kind and be respectful. So like when I'm working with my clients, I am really, really, really good about it. Like, I'm really kind, like, even when I'm like, oh boy, this one's like, I'm not sure how much more I can hit. I walk away, I come back, take a deep breath. So being your own best upline means that you are putting out the fires when they pop up. Reaching out as needed for help, but putting out the fires when they pop up. So that kind of segues for me into leadership style. And as you all are growing as leaders, you're coming into your own leadership style. And that's going to look different for each one of you. But I always go back to the 2 C's, one of which I touched on before, which is to be in communication, right? Be in communication. Like, let's say you have to go on vacation, not you have to, but you're going on vacation for a week, maybe later on this month. Like, let your clients know, let your team know, let your downline know. Like, make sure you have a plan in place so that no one feels like, oh my gosh, not that anyone would, but like, oh my gosh, she's abandoned us for the week. Like, just be in communication with your upline and downline. So we know like where you are and that, yes, you're coming back. And leadership style is, it's not just being in communication, but it's also being coachable, right? So when you're coachable, you're just constantly looking for a better way to do things, whether it's more efficient, it's going to get you better results. And then like, once you've determined something that's helping you get better results, you immediately turn around and you share that. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the book Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek, but like, my goal as a leader is when I learn something that's valuable, that works, I want to turn around and I want to share it with my team right away, or I want to implement it myself right away. I want to make sure everyone knows about it, and not just downline, but cross-line, upline too, because we all rise together, right? When we come up with something good or get a great graphic, we want to share it with the whole team, right? We want to make sure that everyone's benefiting as much as possible from the work we're putting in, because we all want to be in this together. So leaders eat last. So, again, when you're finding something that works, like, you reflect back and you're like, wow, that works great. And, adapting that positive mindset was amazing for this. And I really turned that event around. Or, oh my gosh, I just booked 3 1-to-1s for next week, even though I had nothing on the calendar this morning. And now I have 3 1-to-1s next week. By the way, that was me. I had nothing on the calendar for this coming week. And I'm like, this is embarrassing. So I have 3 1-to-1s for this coming week. Thank goodness. But, leadership style is, when you learn it, turn around and teach that to others, and make sure you're implementing it for yourself. So there's actually 3 C's, because I'm like, consistency is how I have reached the point I've reached, and how I've helped a lot of women on my team, partnered with them to help them reach their goals as well. Consistency in everything. It's so boring. It's not gangster at all. It is so flippin' boring, but consistency beats everything else all day long, right? That's just consistency and follow-up, consistency in doing what we do. I'm 5 years in, I'm still making sample packs. It's just consistency in everything you're doing, and it's finding the joy. No, I don't find joy in making sample packs. I actually don't. So I hired my daughter for the summer, and my 15-year-old is my intern, and she makes a bomb sample pack. So that's one of her jobs. So if you don't want to do something, outsource it, find someone else who will do it for you, but make sure it's getting done. So I also want to talk about, I just thought this was such a really, really important topic. We are fully on in summer, and June 1 hit and everyone was like, what? Going to the beach, going to the pool, party? I'm not going to party. What? It's June, it's summer. Everyone's on vacation. No, not everyone's on vacation. Some of us are still here. Some of us are still working our businesses, right? And we still have most of our clients around us. So it's time to get a little bit gritty and time to deal with some of the roadblocks that are going to sort of come our way in the summer, right? We love the summer, we come alive in the summer, it's fun, it's sun, it's all the good things, but it makes it a little more tricky to work our businesses. So we want to get gritty and we want to kind of work around the roadblocks that might come up. So when you're talking to someone about, like, for example, booking an event or, wanting to get on a call with them to talk about the opportunity, because that still really is the best way to share. Messaging is great. At a certain point, you want to get on the phone. I sponsor my girls by getting on the phone with them. Okay. And looping in that sideline, looping in that upline to really help them see the bigger picture. Okay. Anyone will tell you who knows me, I'm not a detail person. I miss a lot of details. It's really bad, but I'm that big picture girl. So I can look from 30,000 feet up and see where we're headed as a team, as a company, and it's really exciting. So I knew last year that this was going to happen. Like, I looked ahead and I'm like, this is what's going to happen. And I see where we're headed for the end of this year is going to be amazing, and into next year too. But getting back to my point, now we're in summer, so there's going to be some roadblocks. So it's going to be a little harder to book things, right? So we really want to get more creative. We want to keep things really short. Rather than doing week-long online events, let's do something that's a Zoom, right? Let's do something that's 2 days. Let's keep it short, keep it sweet, because it's summer and everyone has the attention span of a gnat right now, right? Like, we want to keep it short and sweet. And we want to change it up and make it really, really different. So getting gritty, dealing with the roadblocks, like, look at the days in your calendar and say, okay, you know what? Maybe I want to work less hours these weeks, but the hours I'm working, I want them to count, right? So help your clients and help anyone that you're booking events with say, all right, you know what? I'm working these 3 days this month. I actually do this every month. I'm like, I'm working these 3 days this month. So which of these 3 days is best for you? These are the 3 days that I'm doing events, online events or whatever. So which of these 3 days is best for you? If you just say, look at your calendar, they're going to look at it and go, I have no idea. I'm overwhelmed. It does feel overwhelming to look at your whole calendar for the month. But if you pinpoint for them, give them a choice of 2 or 3 dates, each and every time they're going to say, oh, okay, that date works. Because you just show them you do have space in your calendar to do this. You can do this. And I like to book in really close. And I'm going back to like my old like party plan days, but I book in really close. So I don't want to book stuff that's like a month and a half out. That's like, forget it. Like, you're out in the wilderness with that. I like to book like next week. Like, let's get this on the calendar for next week. Let's get this going. Let's make this happen. And by the way, let's get some outside orders going right now. So here's a link and let's go. Let's get some outside orders. Treat it like an old-fashioned catalog party. Here's the link, pass it around. That's it. Like, don't overcomplicate. But you want to get more creative in the summer. So, now everyone's getting together again, right? COVID's dying down, everyone's getting together again. So what you want to do is get together. Women are absolutely loving getting together right now. Everyone's using every opportunity to get together. So you want to do the exact same thing, right? Book the one-to-ones, encourage women to come over. Let's have a glass of wine. Let's be out in the back patio, back deck, by the pool, whatever. And let's get you a fresh look for summer. Okay. Now, every single person I'm talking to, if they have, if their budget is an issue, if they're like, oh my gosh, like, I can only get 1 or 2 things. I really, really want to get skincare. I really want to get the makeup to that, but I can only get 1 or 2 things. You know what? Let's get a few gals together. Let's get you some host rewards. Okay. But we want to get a little gritty and we want to deal with the roadblocks that come up, right? So I want to kind of touch upon a couple more things, and I want to open it up for Q&A because I know I'm kind of covering quite a few topics. We're kind of jumping from thing to thing, but these are the things that stuck out most in my mind as topics, to cover with you guys. I think it's really important. It's so important. Like, don't be like me, because for like the first 1.5 years of my business, I did not track anything. I had like papers and piles and notebooks, And I just wasn't organized with tracking clients. And Kathleen's like, looking at me. She's like, hiding. No, and this is, yes, exactly. That's exactly it. So again, don't be like me. I had piles and stacks and notebooks, and it was a disaster. And it always like gave me like a stressed out feeling to sit at my desk because I couldn't like organize and make sense of the piles. And I'm like, where's that list of people I want to reach out to? Where's my list of potential advocates I was working with? So what I finally did, which changed my life, was I found a system that worked for me, both for tracking and for follow-ups. And I will share with you the system I use. My suggestion to you is just make it one of your top priorities to find a system that works for you and then follow that system. Everyone has a different style of working. Not every system is going to work for you. So find the one that works. So what I do is I just use Excel, and I have like an Excel sheet for all of my potential clients that I'm working with. I call my hot leads, my potential clients. And then I have a list of potential advocates that I'm working with. And actually I've subcategorized my potential advocates with, at the top is like, these are the gals that I'm really actively talking to. They're really interested. I'm bringing them through the funnel. And then I have like a really big middle section. I call them my ghosts. So they just, for whatever reason, some of them ghosted, but some of them, for whatever reason, just ended up not signing up. And that's fine, because not everyone is going to join, and that's okay. Oh my gosh, adorbs. I love it, real life. Nice, we got a flasher. I love it. Okay, so that middle section is like, it's ghosts. It's like, they're like, just not a good time. It's sometimes someone just had a baby, not a good time. And then at the bottom, I do keep track of everyone who's actually joined, because it's nice to look that list over and review that, because not only do I track who's joined, so I'm like, yay, all these women joined. It's like a nice little feel-good moment, but also I track, did they reach Smart Start 1? What rank did they achieve? So I'm tracking all that like right in the same sheet where I'm tracking, who's joined. And it's actually, what's really cool to see is this past month, the women I personally sponsored, all of them achieved Smart Start 1. Like when I really focused my attention finally on helping them achieve Smart Start 1, they all achieved Smart Start 1. And I realized I just hadn't been focusing on that. So when I focused on that, they all hit it. And some of them have hit Smart Start 2, which is even more exciting. And some of them are aiming for Smart Start 3. And honestly, I'll be totally honest with you, my PV went down a bit because I was so focused on working with them and like helping them, but that's okay. Like I was willing to make that trade-off, because to me, it's more important to bring, women through and make sure that they're getting the support that they need so that they can advance. There's going to be months where that happens, and that's fine. So tracking. So Excel has been amazing for me. A lot of women use Trello. A lot of women use other types of programs. You can even use a notebook. Whatever it is, it's got to be something that works well for you and that you're going to use and keep using, okay? For me, Excel is great because you can like just easily, you can edit it right online. I have the app on my phone, so I can edit as I go when I'm working, from my phone, if I'm not at my, desktop. And it's just an awesome way to get organized with your lists, right? So at any given time, you got potential advocates, potential clients, and potential hosts. And I have people like kind of bouncing back and forth. I actually have a fourth list too, which is samples. So I keep a list of everyone I send samples to and then follow up. And I will go back periodically and kind of go back through and be like, okay, you know what? This person the conversation dropped. I'll go back and touch base with them again. Another thing to get organized with is your calendar, right? We have to get organized with our calendars. I finally dove in and I love Google Calendar. I feel like that's a fantastic tool. And, you can get fancy, you can sync your Google Calendar like with the rest of your family and, with like work stuff and, all your appointments and everything. You can have it all color coded, or you can just say like have your work block of time. Maybe it's 2 hours a day that you're working crunchy, or 1 hour a day, whatever it is. And within that work block, you can list out on Google Calendar like everything that you want to do to accomplish during that 2 hour period. And that actually has been hugely life-changing for me to really say, okay, during these 2 hours, this is what I want to accomplish. So that's been huge. So even just organizing those two those two things can make a huge difference for your business and help you feel so much more in charge and in control of your time and of your space. And like, just like it frees up that mental energy to focus on more important things. Because if you're constantly trying to sit down and get organized and you're spending time each time at your desk getting organized first, you're wasting valuable time. And then it's like, oh, I got organized, but then I didn't actually do the work, which is like the reaching out. So like you guys are, look, I'm a dinosaur, tech dinosaur. You guys are amazing with your stories and your reels and, you know, your lives, like all your, like you're incredible, your TikToks, please. I like my TikTok is embarrassing. Like you guys are amazing with that. And that is like all the incredible marketing that you do. But what has to follow is the actual, you know, the reaching out, right? The actual work is the reaching out and connecting, building those relationships. You guys, I know all my clients. Like I know when one has a baby, like I know when one of mine was sick with COVID last month, like, and she was older, bless her heart. So I kept checking in with her. And, you know, like, so I like care about my clients. Like my clients become my friends and we develop a deep, you know, a relationship and a trust. And even though it's online, I haven't even met most of my clients in person. Probably never will. Like we just develop a relationship and then they like, know, and trust me, and they're going to refer me to other people. And if they're ever thinking about joining, they're going to join my team, right? Because you've built that relationship with them and they already love the products, but you go that extra mile with them with customer service or even just following up. Honestly, when I just follow up my clients, they're like, you're so amazing. You followed up. I'm like, I followed up. Like I said, how's it going with your products? Just checking in. And they're so grateful. And I'm like, really? Because I just copied and pasted 20 in a row. But they're so grateful. So you want to track, you want to get organized. Love Google Calendar, love using Excel. Trello is also great. My brain does not work well in Trello, but some people absolutely love it. So that's something that's just going to free up so much mental energy for you. In terms of if you ever feel overwhelmed, I like to say that overwhelm is a trick of the mind. You are not overwhelmed. You are allowing yourself to feel like, oh my gosh, everything's swirling around me. And I just, you know, I don't know where to begin. I can't figure it out. I need to just, you know, I need to figure it out. So overwhelm's a trick of the mind. If you start to feel like that, take a step back and say, okay, what is one thing I can do right now that's really important that I can do that will move my business forward? Okay. So that really is the most important thing. Like pick one thing that you really need to do and do it because you know that's going to move your business forward. And sometimes just identifying that one thing to work on and working on it helps calm and quell the overwhelm. And then you feel like, okay, I've got this. I did that thing. I'm going to do one more thing, right? Now, another way to get organized is raise your hand if you have a to-do list that's like, you know, 50, right? 50 items on the to-do list or 30 items on the to-do list. Am I the only one? Really? Come on, don't be shy, ladies. And if your camera off, that's fine. You can put it in the chat. Okay, so we're all, wait, you guys, I apologize. I have not even been looking in the chat. I'm such a dork. I'm sorry. Okay, I will go back. How about this? I will finish up and I'll go back and answer questions. How's that? Is that good? Okay, because there's some great questions in here. Okay. We all raised our hand, basically, we're guilty of having an incredibly long to-do list. Well, what happens when your to-do list is that long? Overwhelmed, right? We get overwhelmed. So here's one trick I do. I have that simple like notes app on my phone. It's literally like the notes app. Actually, it's like a check mark app. I'm going to show you guys. So I have like all my tasks. Okay, so here are like all my tasks, all right, which is like, oh my gosh, it's only 20, but that's still a lot. So what I do is I have my important tasks right here. It's just 5. So I just have these called up, like queued up for the day. So I'm not looking at the bigger list. I'm just looking at the smaller list. And when I finish that list, I'm done. Okay. So that's kind of like it's like the Jedi mind trick I play on myself. So even though I've got this big long list for today, I'm only tackling these 5 things. And I know I'm gonna be able to get those 5 things done. And then I'm done for the day. And then tomorrow I'll pick 5 more things from the big long list and put it on that short, like starred list. And then you get to have that sense of accomplishment because you did those 5 things on the list. And that's okay that you didn't do the other 15 things, because no one can do all those things on the list. You can't do 20 things in one day, but you can do 5 or even 3. Okay. So that's how you calm the overwhelm. You don't feel like hyperventilating if there's only 5 things on your list. But if there's like 20 things on your list, then you're going to feel overwhelmed. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So pick one thing a day and do it. That immediately calms things down. And then you can go ahead and pick one more thing and do that. But if it's a choice between an IPA and a non-IPA, drop in the comments, which one do you think you should focus on? Not a trick question. Yep. And sometimes we fool ourselves. We're like, I've been so busy. I did this, I did that. I made the most adorable, social media thing, whatever. I did the fabulous, whatever it is. But did you do the work? And I had to have a little truth talk with myself, because I had not done the work. We achieved what we achieved in May. And then I was like, I'm going to take some time off. And my business was like, oh yes, you think you will. Shame on you. And so I definitely took some time off, but now I'm back. And today I had a bunch of great sponsoring conversations, which no one said yes, but I planted a lot of seeds. And I booked some one-to-ones. I kind of got my ass in gear, shall we say. I also had my first CrossFit workout in 2 months. Tabitha will be very proud of me. I shall not be walking tomorrow. So I kicked booty all the way around, but today was just day 1. So the final thing I want to say before I get to the questions is, really take some time and really come together as a team and bond together. Okay. Really, and I know you guys are really doing a fantastic job of this, but really bond together as a team, because you are each other's support system. All right. And as you grow, you're going to get bigger and bigger. And, it's going to be harder to stay connected. But it's so important to really keep the connections with the rest of your team and with the greater team in general. Because it's so cool when you become friends with and partnering, you can do pacing partners with women who are not, for example, within Tabitha's team. The coolest interactions happen when you make those connections outside of your team. Okay, so I want to encourage that as well. Make those cross-line connections. There are other legs of my team that, you're going to meet other women. You're going to meet them at retreat in September, which is going to be fantastic. And then you are really going to you're going to get that bigger picture, for our team and for the company too. Okay, so I'm going to answer the questions real quick, and then we can open it up to a little bit of Q&A. Okay, let's see. Okay, Tracy says, I feel like things have been extremely slow for me in May and in June so far. Okay, so remember, Tracy, summer is not slow. People are slow. Not saying you're slow, but if you're feeling like the pace is too slow, it's time to get on the phone. Okay, I know it's oh my God, who talks on the phone now? I do. I talk on the phone all the time. I get on Zoom all the time, right? Do it. Put those sample packs together, book the one-to-ones, do the things that will kind of get your business moving and get it into action. If it's feeling slow, it's really time to start reaching out more and reaching back, I went in today and I did follow up, but I'm I had a little pity party. I ate a square of dark chocolate. I got my act together. Seriously, I had to force myself through this whole day, but at the end of the day, it was really, really good. And, I took some orders, it was good to force myself into action. But I had to do follow-up. And as I was reaching out, I was like, you know what? I'm so grateful. My first thought was, I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for this client. I'm grateful that I have a client to follow up with. And I'm grateful that she's loving everything. And you guys, now when you reach out, you're going to hear about all these women who bought Powerlight and they're like, oh, let me read to you. And I'm going very off track here, and just stop me if I'm too off track, but I have to read to you. Let me see if I can find this one. Okay. I asked how the eye cream was, because now you can start gathering all these testimonials to get future orders, right? I just have an image bank of testimonials. I screenshot all of them and I post them all the time. How are you doing? How are you doing with your new products? Do you like the Power Light? I'm 100% sure they should have named this eye cream Miracle. I've been thoroughly impressed with how it's brightened my under eyes, gotten rid of the puffiness, and even lightened some red pigmentation I was developing under one of my eyes. It's amazing. You're going like, it's like a dopamine hit. When you get that awesome response, you're like, yes, like getting testimonials and then sharing those testimonials guarantees you more orders. Like I literally posted that that testimonial in my stories, and two of my clients were like, next on my list. And I'm going to reach out and say, let's get that for you right now with, let's have you host, right? Let's get that right now. So getting into action can really help. Question, how do I get more people to my in-person events in 2 weeks other than reaching out on all social media accounts? Great question. Reaching out in person is really great. I say like reaching out in person is really the best. So like personally messaging them, even calling, picking up the phone and calling and saying, you know what, it's such a blessing we can all be together in person. I'd love to see you in person. Can you come to my event? I would love for you to try these products in person. I just want to give you a hug. You know, just want to see you. Would love to have you there to support me. Whatever language you want to use to bring them in the door. Like I'm planning a house, you know, like a open house for the end of this month. And I'm already so excited. I'm like, wine, cheese, all the things. I'll be able to have a cheat meal by then. Hopefully. So it's, you know, I'm so excited for in-person stuff. Like it's the best. Like for me, like I online is great, but in person is where women really get the best sense of the products and they can really try them and just fall in love with them. So I would definitely just pick up the phone and call. And I would say like, reach out to your most loyal clients who are local and encourage them to come and bring someone who's never come before, right? So they can be like your referral source. Like, you know what, why don't you bring your friend, you know, Mandy, who's never tried this before. She's really big into makeup and skincare. Why don't you bring her, you know? So like have everyone invite someone. Jenna says, oh, she was frozen. Oh yeah, we talked about the streaker. It's a game changer when you have your ducks in a row. And I, trust me, most of my ducks are not in a row. At any given point, half of my ducks are very much out of the row. How do you get people to take samples? That might seem silly to ask, but I feel a lull. So how do I reach out and ask? Just ask. Here's a funny thing. In everyone's client group, there's like 8 million lurkers. There are women lurking in there who are like, I really want to try, but I'm nervous, but I don't know. And they're just watching. They're watching all the posts. It's like there's an occasional like here and there. Reach out to the women in your group who've never made a peep, who've never got samples, never ordered. And you can cross-check. You can like look at the women in your group, and then you can look at your back office and look at your client list, and you can see like who's ordered or who hasn't. And I keep track of all my samples, so I can exactly see. You can search. You can see who's requested samples, right? Because I don't send samples twice. You get one and done, right? You get one shot. That's it. Okay. Oh, and here's a little ninja tip. When you're following up with them and they've tried their samples, what foundation shade were you? Okay, and then have them write it down. Oh, I was a 2.5. Great. So when you reference it back, if they don't order right away, but if they want to order later, well, what shade was I? Well, let's scroll up and see. And you can see what shade they were, because you don't want to have to send more samples, right? So that's a good tip for you guys. That happens to me all the time. I'm like, oh, we can just scroll up and we can see, unless it's like a different season, you know, maybe they've gotten tan, whatever. Typically, they're going to stay around the same shade. But going back, so reach out to the gals in your group and, you know, talk to them like a human being. You've been in my group for a while. I'm just so happy that you're here. I know that you've been seeing all the posts. Do you have any interest in trying the products? Talk to them like a human being, you know? I hope that you've been loving the content I've been providing. Do you have any interest in maybe trying a product or two? Start with that. Start with offering them a product or two. And if they're like, well, I don't know, budget, or my skin is very sensitive. I get a lot of sensitive skin comments. You know, a lot of women have sensitive skin. By the way, it's not necessarily that they have sensitive skin, as they've been using crap on their face, or they've got stuff going on in their bodies. They've got inflammation. So it's like this two-way street, right? It's like a double-edged sword. So you can help them on the outside. You can't necessarily help them on the inside, but you can definitely help them on the outside. And a lot of times women will be like, oh my gosh, I used your products for 1 week and my skin is transformed. I'm like, yes, that's what happens. Yes. So I would just offer them. I would start with the products because maybe you'll have a sale. You might surprise yourself with a sale. And then I would just offer the samples. And, the worst that they can say is no, thank you, or not right now. And you can be like, great, because that actually just saved you a little bit of time. Like, sometimes I've had one or two gals who are like, sure, send me samples. There's going to be the occasional ghosting. There's going to be the occasional person who doesn't open them right away, and you have to keep badgering them. So I just try to, it's not 100%, okay? It's not 100% with this, but you just have to really encourage them. Listen, when you get the samples, try them right away. They're best as, fresh, to use them as fresh as possible. And I just keep reminding, I will use that same language like 4 times. Your samples have almost arrived, because if you send like by pirate ship, you can track them. Your samples are almost there. And I can't wait for you to open them. You can even set up, I've done this before with clients many times. You can set up a one-to-one, or you can set up a FaceTime with them, right? So, when you get your samples, let's do a FaceTime. I can walk you through application and make sure that you're making the most of your samples and getting color match. And they're like, fantastic. And I have totally done that. How do you navigate when a potential advocate says they want to wait a few weeks or a few months, etc.? How do you get them to pull a trigger, especially in the summer months? You just wait it out. Any tricks up your sleeve? Kathy. It's really just a matter of, most of my advocates don't sign up immediately. It is a process. Like it's anywhere from weeks to months to years. I'm going to be honest. So it really does just take time, and it's just following up and leading the conversation and having the next step in mind. So if they're saying, usually, okay, so I'll give you an example. The latest gal that I sponsored was, it was end of March. It was end of May. It was May, 31st. And she signed up and she was like, oh, I'm really busy. I'm like, mm-hmm. And we just kept talking. And she was really busy, but we worked through that. Her schedule's gonna clear up a bit. Excuse me. And then what it turned out as was that she was nervous about selling. Hello, who isn't nervous about selling, right? Anyone, whether they've been in direct sales or not before, is nervous about selling if they're honest with themselves. It's scary. What we do is scary. You put yourself out there and you might be rejected. I get rejected all the time. I'm like, got a thick skin. So that's scary. And one of her cousins had just started selling Arbonne. And she was like, it's going to be weird. I'm like, only if you make it weird. Right. And I gave her I kind of gave her some simple language of how she could kind of get around that, and just how she could explain how she was now sharing Crunchy. She'd been using the products for 3 years. Like, shame on me for not offering her the opportunity sooner. Like, what was I thinking? Although I think I probably did each time she was pregnant. So I get it. But it is, you just have to sort of have the next steps in place. So if she had said no, I knew that her job at the school was ending and she was going to quit her job to be able to stay home because she's going to have her second baby in a few months. So I would have said, if she hadn't signed up at that point, I would have said, let's talk again in a few weeks when school's done, when you've resigned from your position, when you're home, and things are going to look and feel very different. We'll plan on talking in a few weeks, okay? And we'll reconvene and see where we are then, okay? And so at that time, we would reconvene. I would probably loop in someone else to make it a 3-way call, because yes, I will always loop in someone else, even if I'm talking to someone, because I want them to see that we work as a team and that, there's always advocates there to help out and that we're a true community, right? So we would have chatted again, had a 3-way call, and then she either would have joined at that time or would have said, you know what, I want to wait till after the baby's born. It's on their timetable, okay? It's on their timetable. But what I did was I helped her work through her fears, okay? I helped her work through her fear of being too busy. I helped her work through her fear of her cousin with the Arbonne. And actually, when we were talking about the Arbonne, I was like, well, what is it that concerns you about that? I just asked questions. I was probably a little annoying, but I just asked questions. I was like, well, what is it? And I said, it is makeup and skincare, but it is quite greenwashed, whatever. And she goes, oh yeah, it's totally greenwashed. And she said, she goes, actually, the people that she's selling to in my family, they're pretty much just buying the greens, like the powder. They're not even buying the makeup and skincare. I was like, okay, so that's not even like a conflict, because she's really focused on like the greens. I'm like, well, how are the greens, by the way? And she's like, disgusting. So sorry if anyone is is reps Arbonne here, but she was like, oh, Lisa, it's, I'm like, okay, well, also good to know. like there's no competition here. So we worked through all the fear, and I said, it's only weird if you make it weird that she's selling Arbonne and you're selling Crunchy. We have a very different way of representing this than she does and will. And we worked through her fears and she signed up. Does that help? Okay, good. When you say one-to-one, is that advocate call? So one-to-ones are, when I say one-to-one, it is like either an in-person meeting with a client, like one-to-one, so client advocate, to show them the makeup and skincare, to like walk them through application. I do not put makeup on anyone's face. Sometimes I do have to step in when things go horribly awry. I do have to step in. I'm like, okay, like, stop, let me fix that. No, but seriously. But I let them do everything themselves, and they love it because they learn how to actually apply it. And we have like the makeup application guides, and it's so fun, you guys, it's so fun. And whether the order is for 150 or 500, it doesn't matter. It's like such a wonderful hour of your day. And like, tell them, bring your kids, let the kids play. We're gonna play with makeup and skincare. You guys, we just spent a year and a half like not really being together. This is our opportunity to just be together and just like celebrate being women and celebrate like feeling and looking good about ourselves, right? But I try to turn one-to-ones into two-to-ones. So if I'm meeting with one client, well, why don't they bring a friend, right? So then it's a 1-to-2, and it's double the amount of women that you're reaching. Share more about the open house. I recently moved, don't know people locally, wondering how I could branch out, would love to do more in person. Yeah, so start to make connections. Okay, if you are in a new spot, if you're in a new area, start to make connections. Are there any local vendor events happening? Are there local like sort of green, crunchy boutiques that you can make connections at? Like, start going to local businesses and things like that are more like green focused and health focused, and make the connections with the managers and the owners. Let them know what you do. Say, you know, gosh, once you establish that connection, that relationship, maybe like patronize them. Like if you're going to buy something, like buy it there, you know, if there's something there that you want to buy. And, you know, and then say, you know, I'd love to maybe, would you be open to me doing a little pop-up here? It would bring people in, it would introduce people to this, you know, awesome product line, like, you know, really, and I've done that many times. And actually, there are a couple of like, there's like a CBD shop in town. They have a beautiful, beautiful shop, beautiful product, CBD. And they actually join Crunchy, and they don't stock the line because they're not allowed to, but they have the display, and people can now go in and order Crunchy right from the website, which is great. And it's called Plant Wellness. And so I was able to get, you know, the line, the owner to carry the line. And there was another local company that also carries the line. So, you know, those are really, and then again, you can do like pop-ups. So, excuse me, like church, you know, moms groups, like YMCA, like any place that you're going, like, just like, you guys, I walk around with sample packs in my bag. Like, put sample packs like in your bags, in your diaper bags, like just like have these ready to go. And like whenever I'm like out to dinner, out to lunch, or running around, and I'm like run into someone I know, I'm like, I happen to have one of these, and they're like, whoop. So it's pretty awesome to get one, right? So you just kind of want to be prepared. Let's see. How do you increase engagement in your parties? My last two have been crickets. I mean, it varies so much. Like, you can have the most rocking party, and then you can have the most like crickets party. It's so dependent on the host and how well they're doing their host duties and how much they're inviting, and if the women are into it or not. Like, I usually do multi-host, which is good because it's like one host is doing great, just invite a lot of gals, and that's rocking along. And maybe one or two other hosts are really not doing so good, and they're not rocking along, but it's kind of covered up by the one good host and like the good, you know, like the good guests that are contributing. So multi-host is actually good because it's just like there's more synergy with it, and there's more energy with it. And then, so you never have like a totally dud party, because there's like a good party in there too. So I will say, this is the date that my online event is happening this month. This is the date. And more often than not, they're able to just make that date work. So I literally give my clients a choice of one, and it works. And I try to do like, usually like 4, you know, hosts within that multi-hosted event. So again, if there's 2 hosts that are like total stinkers, total duds, at least you got a couple hosts that are like working it, inviting, engaged, active, tagging, commenting, liking and loving, and that makes a big difference. Yep, the one-to-one with sample is huge. Oh yeah, this is something else. So I will drop off samples and then I will follow up and the samples will lead to the one-to-one in person. So that is good too, because people are like, oh, like they hear a lot of stuff, they get bombarded with all kinds of options to buy. They don't know, they don't understand. They keep hearing about it, Don't forget, women need to hear and see something 8 times before they're ready to commit or try, okay? Like it's a process. You have to be willing to commit to the process. But you can get better and quicker at closing, right? Closing the sale. So, and you guys are very, very good at this. Like you guys are very good at closing the sale. Very good. So I will drop off samples and then they'll try them and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I love them. And I'll be like, you know what, why don't we just get together so you can try the whole line in person? And they're like, oh yes. So like, I'm starting to attract a lot more, like my focus for such a long time was online. You guys, it's, oh my gosh, it's almost like 10 o'clock. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up really soon. I'm so sorry. Someone should have told me that I was like chatting so long. So chatty. So my boys are always like, you're so chatty, Mom, so chatty. So yeah, so I was so focused for so long online, and especially this last year and a half, now with in person, like I'm really starting to get a lot of women. And when you meet with someone one-to-one in person, they're going to buy more. They're going to try it on. They're going to get that full effect and they're going to buy more. They're going to love it. You can also in parties, you can have it be a longer party and you can send out samples ahead of time so that everyone can try the samples. And then you have the online, you have the tutorial and then you wrap up after. It does take longer in the party. It's harder to track, but you do have the deadline. So ladies need a deadline to order. So you want them to be ordering, we can say this is the deadline. So you can, another thing you can do with samples is you can have them just get their samples within the framework of a party. So you don't have to give out samples if it's not within a party, because with a party, oh, we've got this deadline. We have a deadline that you need to place your order by because we're going to close this host's party. Okay, we're going to close the event. So that will actually, that deadline encourages women every time. Deadlines, women need deadlines to join and they need deadlines to purchase. It's facts. Yeah, that's a great idea about getting into local Facebook group to connect with people. So like, what, like kids activities? I mean, I go back, this, you guys is so old school, but like I go back to my Franco list. So friends, relatives, neighbors, acquaintances, like, like kids, like your kids' friends' moms, right? So like, as sprinkle some samples. I don't know, we can't really put stuff in mailboxes now, I don't think, but you could even, this would be super cute, at all of your neighbors, you could even leave like, not like a whole sample pack, but just like, you could take like little pieces of the facial bars and staple them to your business card and say, whatever you want to say, like, hey, I'm your new neighbor, try the bar soap. But like, put it like in a cute little bag, like hang it on their doorknob, right? So, because I think it's actually illegal to put stuff in other people's mailboxes. Seriously, I don't think you're allowed to do that. At least here, I think it's illegal. But you can just do a little like gift bag with a couple little samples. Hi, neighbor. Sample fairy. Yep, moms groups, military spouse groups, absolutely, absolutely. And then referrals, like I built my business on referrals. If you have one influential friend, ask her to open up her network to you. Say, can you just start referring people to me? I get referrals every single day because I just keep asking her, hey, can you send me anyone you can think of who would be interested in trying Crunchy? I get connected constantly. People love to be the one connecting people to each other. They love to be the one who discovers something and then get their friends onto it, right? Women love sharing what we love. So just asking for those referrals. Yep, we get focused online. Online is fantastic. I could not run my business without the online component, but in person is really, really rewarding. And it's important to not overlook that. Like I hate to say this, you guys, like I can't go live. I am now banned from what I can't go live for 30 days in any group that I manage. So I totally had a moment where I was like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna run my business? And it was like right before the product launch and I was panicking. And then I was like, hold up. I can go live on Instagram. So I've been going live on Instagram. I can do video, so I can do video, right? Like I have an email newsletter list for my clients. So I sent out an email. Like there's all these things you can do to where you don't like if Facebook could go away tomorrow. So you want to make sure that you are able to reach your clients regardless of Facebook or not. So long story short, in-person is the way to go. I realized I did not leave a lot of time, but hopefully if anyone wants to unmute and they have any other questions or want to share anything else, I really need to wrap this up, so.
No, thank you. Thank you. That was awesome. So many good tips. I have one quick question. So Jenna that's on here, Jenna Presnell, and I are doing a in-person vendor event tomorrow night. So I've only done one of these. It really didn't go. And it was a different setting. This is going to be like, it's in a photography business. It's really quaint. There's a coffee company coming and just different things. So I'm excited. There's only like four vendors, but how do you get them to stop and really do you have any tips just to kind of we're actually getting to sit at a makeup booth, which is really cool because it's set up for that. Whereas like when we did a table vendor event, it was just like, I think people are intimidated by makeup and they just walk past the thing because they're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't even know. I've never even heard of Crunchy and I don't want them to try to put something on me. And I don't even, you know what I mean?
Yep, I do. And I love that question. And so vendor events for me are just, sales are almost like secondary. Like I really just focus on making those connections with other women. Like I have sponsored women like on the spot at vendor events, like just on the spot. So what I do is, especially if there's two of you and it sounds like a really awesome setup, I would have, both of you like get out from behind the table, right? Like get out from behind the booth, like really be interacting, like really interact with the other vendors. There's only 3 other vendors, but interact with the other vendors, right? Those are usually going to be your clients, like the other vendors, like, that's what happens. So interact with the vendors and then really just be in front of your booth, like be really welcoming, don't be weird, but like be really welcoming. Just, oh, come on over, come take a look. Keep the display super simple, right? Just have like the trifecta, have the skincare, focus on the skincare. Women are a little intimidated by the makeup, so just focus on the skincare. Have it beautiful, streamlined, even like 2 trays, skincare trifecta. You can have a few other things there, but I would just keep it so simple. They don't need the full array. Even though our line isn't that big, it feels big when you're at an event. Women they want to buy in sets, they want to be told what to buy, and they want better skin. These are the 3 truisms that I know. So if you just have it displayed really simply and say, oh, this is a new line, let me share about this with you. And then just keep it really simple and maybe have something for them, to try. Like have them try, like this is so old school again, but like have them try the nightlight on the back of their hand, and then they can compare their hands. They're gonna be like, oh my, like, wow, like, and have them try the sunlight. They're gonna be like, this is amazing, So like, just have have some things for an example, like encourage them, just, oh, try this. It's almost like, it's like you're at the makeup counter, like, and they're like, try this perfume. But you want to just kind of get out from behind the booth and really just encourage them. I would love, take a look at this. And the women who are there, like want to be there, and they want to be like, they want to explore what you have. So I would say just really focus on the skincare and then just ask them like, oh, what might you be more interested in? And really share with them just a little bit about Green Beauty, kind of have your elevator pitch ready for what Crunchy is. Keep it really simple, like 30 seconds or less. And then just encourage them to try a few products, right? And then just kind of see what they're interested in. And obviously you want to, get them in your client group. You want to, connect with them more, and talk to them about the opportunity too, because maybe that's something that they're looking for, right?
No, that's awesome. That's super helpful. Thank you.
Yep. And another thing too is if you have time, you can have some like really, really simple sample packs set up. Like you can even just take some of the facial bar, like little slivers of the facial bar. And like, I loved what one of my gals did is she just put those in a little bag, stapled it to a business card, and just gave those out. So it just didn't take long to do, but it was a great little, it was a nice presentation. And the bars are just, I mean, everyone loves the bars, and it was just easy, right? So that's something they can take home, because if you just give someone a business card, it's gone immediately. But if you give them a sample with it, they're more likely to try it.
That's true.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and just sharing all the things and answering questions and just pouring into us. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you for all your help that you've given me so far, and it's just flowing into our team. So thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome. You all are just incredible, and I'm just so grateful for each and every one of you. And Tabitha, I love you. Love you, sister.
I love you too. Thank you.
Bye, ladies. This is amazing.